Hi everyone, I am upside down because the final pose that it's been a while in getting to, I've been going through some PT for my hand. The final pose on that beginner poster was one that was called Chakrasana, or otherwise known as Urdhva Dhanurasana, which is wheel pose. And you all know that pose. If you need to see it, ask a 7-year-old to do it for you. It's that one where you're lying on the floor watching cartoons and you just push yourself up into that wheel pose and your arms are right underneath you and they're straightened out and your hands are flat. And because of my PT, I won't be doing wheel pose for a little while still. But the whole purpose of that joyful, childlike wheel pose, as you press those hips up to the sky and your hands are right underneath those shoulders, just pressing you up. If you can do it, just be really careful because of course you want to guard your neck at all costs. Like I said, if you want to see it, ask a little kid, they'll just bounce right up and do it for you. But otherwise, the whole point of it is to open that heart and to really open up those ribs and let those lungs expand, and we're pressing those hips up. So just in the way that I am lying on this yoga stool and kind of letting my head hang down, and I'm completely supported mostly underneath my hips, which are the uppermost part of the pose, I am getting the benefits. My heart is open. My neck is relaxed. There's no pressure. I cannot take my hands right now and put them on the floor and press up. But if you wanted to, with the support of a chair underneath you, as you were like maybe sideways on a good solid chair, you could try to put those hands down and see what that feels like. And even like, just press those hips up a little bit and use those feet flat and solid on that earth, like hip distance apart, straight forward, railroad tracks, parallel. And just feel that pressing, but you don't even have to lift up off the chair. If this is a lot for you, you can just, like I said, you could lay on your bed and kind of hang your head off the end of your bed. There's also ways that we can open our heart without being this severe if this is too much for you. Another wonderful benefit of this pose, though, is that it turns everything upside down. It gives you a whole new perspective on the world. And sometimes that's exactly what happens in life. We know this. We know this from experience, especially in these times, in all that is going on in our world. Sometimes everything gets turned on its head. Everything gets turned upside down, and we have to learn how to deal with the new perspective, the new normal, the new reality. And it's a challenge, but we can find the joy and the strength in it. And I challenge you to turn your world upside down a little bit. Turn that view upside down, or embrace the upside down world that we're currently living in and try to find your pocket of joy. It can be done. Open that heart, breathe. Like I said, there's other ways that we can do this. I have a lot of toys. I like to collect certain toys because they just end up being really beneficial. This is called a yoga wheel, and it too is a method that you can use to open up that heart. Just sort of putting it, and it's got rubber on it, so when it's on a yoga mat, it's not moving, it's not scooching anywhere. So you can kind of use that to just roll and open that heart. It's all about opening that heart. The benefit of the wheel pose on the stool or using the bed or a chair underneath you is you can press those hips up and even, like I said, start to experiment with getting those shoulders or those hands underneath the shoulders like flat into the floor. I'll be doing PT for a while, so that won't be happening just yet, but I'll get there again. Anyway, it's all about opening the heart, relaxing the throat, pressing those hips up. Another way you can do this, just to get that initial reaction or that initial benefits of that, is you can lie back down on your mat, and then there's a bridge pose. So you can just let those arms relax out. I like to do it palms up, but you can do palms up or palms down, whatever feels good on those shoulders. Palms up lets those shoulders just completely relax. And then you press those hips up. You can even take yoga blocks, build them up underneath those hips, and feel those hips pressing up high. Let that heart drop open. Here you're getting a little bit of that throat is a little bit more contracted. I like to have a pillow under my head. So these are all all the benefits of that open heart. But if you want to try that wheel, that Chakrasana, go for it. Just make sure it's in a safe environment because it is a really challenging pose. It is in no way a beginner's pose. But the preps for it and the purposes for it can be utilized and found in all of those different modifications. So give them a try if you want. The final one on the poster isn't even labeled. It just shows her sitting here in lotus. And there's many ways you can sit in this. It's all about opening those hips. You can do it with pillows underneath the knees if your knees aren't quite to the floor and you feel that pressure and that stress. Put the blankets and pillows underneath so that gravity can just relax everything. You know, if you're sitting here and you're shaking and fighting to keep that knee pressing down and it's fighting against you and rising up, just stack the pillows under it and then look at that. You're utterly relaxed. And then maybe with time, those hips will relax and open up a little more. You can do a little less pillow or maybe just a little blanket. And then it's all about just sitting there and opening up. And you can do crisscross applesauce where your ankles are a little bit crossed, like this. Or you can do heels straight back in line with each other towards the center of the body and let those knees just drop out. You want to feel on top of those sitting bones. And so another thing that I like to do is I like to take either a rolled up blanket or rolled up yoga mat or the pillow and just put it right underneath those sitting bones. This tips those hips forward. It takes all the pressure off of the inside of the groin and the hips and lets the knees flop down even more. It takes that pressure off because if you're sitting there kind of back, the knees are picking up. But if you tip that pelvic bone forward, that pelvic bowl forward, it releases all of that stress and it lets you sit forward, sit tall, heart open, and from here, take a breath. Feel that expansion in that belly. Feel it coming up through that heart. Feel it in the crown of that head. Smooth out that forehead. Release the fear, the tension, the anxiety, and just breathe. There is still so much good. Even when the world gets turned upside down, and there's ways that we can learn from it, move forward with it, stronger, maybe with a little bit different perspective, which is always good for us. Please continue to just keep embracing everything you learn on the mat, everything that you find in peace, and moving your body and getting to know your body and relaxing that body and getting strong in that body. Take it off that mat into the world. That light that shines in me honors that light that shines in all of us. Namaste.